Hello and welcome to this next episode of The Empowered Life. Lisa Pezik here, and I'm so excited today. I'm so excited about the next 45 minutes or so that we have together. Because today, I have my good friend here, Bob Heilig, and let me tell you a little bit about him. So Bob has been in the MLM industry for the last 10 years, and wait for it, he's generated 7 figures. And he's generated 7 figures through educating people, training people, mentoring people, serving people. I know sometimes when we hear that big financial gain that people make, we want to know what that special secret is on how they got there. And Bob, he gives so much incredible content. Bob, that was one of the very first things that I loved about getting to know you. I'm like, man, this guy delivers. Now, you've also started your training company 2 years ago called Your Virtual Upline. And it's basically a teaching, serving, business coaching, teaching people how to be successful in an online brand, an online business, doing the things that you did. Taking those steps, maybe making it their own, but you're so willing to be transparent and teach exactly how you got the financial success that you did. So first off, I just want to say thank you for being here with me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm excited.
Oh, I love it. So I just want to jump right in because I know you're going to have so much good content to share. So first I want to talk about, take me a step back. Why did you pick the MLM? And for people that don't know MLM, it's that multi-level marketing, that network marketing, growth kind of marketing that we have person to person out there. How did you first decide that that was something you wanted to get into?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just came, I have a background in traditional medical sales, and I was the typical story. I was a frustrated employee. I was earning a decent living, but I wasn't excited about what I was doing, and I wasn't passionate. There was no purpose behind me getting up and going to work every day. And it got to the point where I found myself having to work harder and harder every year for less money. And I just was like, this is not how I want to live the rest of my life. And I was introduced to network marketing by a friend in college. And it wasn't something I really pursued at the time, but I remember being really excited about the concept, being able to start a business for very low startup, no overhead, be able to plug into a proven system and leverage the experience of other people that, had a vested interest in seeing you make money. Just made sense to me. And now at that particular company, I didn't really identify with the products, and it just wasn't the right time in my life. I was a college student. I wasn't interested in building a business. I was interested in other things. And I was reintroduced to the profession, and the timing was right. It was the right, I always like to say that if you're introduced by the right person at the right time in your life, and it's the right company, then there's a high probability you'll join. And that's what happened to me. I wound up joining. It was far from an overnight success. You shared in your introduction to me that, I was fortunate that I was able to earn 7 figures in the profession, but that was not my immediate story. My first year in network marketing, I was a miserable failure. I didn't recruit a single person in my first year of trying to build the business. And so it was not, quick success. There was a lot of obstacles and adversity, but it's part of my story that I really am most proud of, because I didn't quit. And my dream was bigger than the problems that I was facing. And I really believe the fact that I struggled so much in the beginning is one of the reasons why I was an effective leader, because I could relate to what most people deal with. Most people in this profession are not overnight successes. They don't make big money in their first year. And because I struggled, a lot of it was just through simple hard-headedness and uncoachability. But once I actually figured it out, when I did start to grow and build a team and people were looking to me for mentorship, I really knew what it was like to be in their shoes. And I think that was one of the things that helped me be an effective leader.
That's huge. And you're right. Sometimes we get we get so caught up on that number that we're like, oh my God, I can make 7 figures in like 6 months or a year. Yeah. And then when you don't, people think, well, what's wrong with me? I must suck at this. I must not be good at this. This isn't a good, decision for me. And I think that's amazing that you're transparent about that. That's like, you had to fall flat on your face for a year before you were able to kind of figure out, maybe I have to change the way I do things. I have to take a reapproach. I've got to learn something different.
Yep.
And some of the big words that jumped out in what you shared: passion, purpose. You said you woke up in that, 9 to 5 or whatever kind of, full-time job you were in. You felt no passion and purpose. Growth. There's growth opportunity. And then just being resilient, right? Like you said, when you have these high hopes and dreams and things maybe don't work out in that first kind of year. And I think sometimes people, MLM sometimes get a bad rap, and people think that it's a scam, or people don't have the best intentions when they go into that, or they think it's not safe, right? Like you should stay in your safe 9 to 5 because that has benefits and, all that sort of stuff. But I'm hearing you say getting involved in that brought passion and purpose and growth and resiliency. So after that year, when you became maybe a little bit more coachable, you were, what made that change for you in your mindset? Like what did that second year look like? Or what was the big difference for you there in your mindset?
Yeah. So the big shift for me came when I changed my relationship to fear. And what I mean by that is my lack of success in that first year had everything to do with me avoiding the things that were making me afraid in my business. I was not willing to give a presentation because I didn't think I was going to be able to do a good enough. See, a lot of people don't realize, and if people that follow me have heard me talk about this a lot, my number 2 fear, my biggest fear in my life was public speaking. Number 1 fear is heights, and but my number 2 fear was always public speaking. I hated it. I was deathly afraid of it. I avoided it like the plague, all costs. I still struggle with the sound of my own voice and watching my own videos, but my unwillingness to face that fear of giving a presentation, of approaching, I was afraid of approaching successful people because I didn't think they would take me seriously because I wasn't that. I was afraid of being a leader. One of the things that is interesting that I see a lot happening in this profession is people, they tell themselves that they want to build a big team, right? It's like what we all say we want more than anything. But what I see happening is actually what I used to do to myself, and I didn't realize it. Every time I would get close to having that breakthrough and creating success and getting that team that I said that I wanted, I would self-sabotage myself. Because deep down, I actually feared being a leader and having a big team because I didn't think I would be capable to lead them. So my entire business was driven by fear. And what changed for me, and I think it probably came out of just sheer, utter desperation. Like I just got to the point where I was so sick and tired of seeing other people have success and it wasn't happening for me, that it was like I was forced into doing the things that I didn't want to do. And the moment I started to, I use the phrase, use fear as a compass and start recognizing the things in my life that I was fearing, that they were probably the very things that if I was willing to do would create breakthroughs for me. The moment I started to do that, everything changed for me. The moment I got in front of the room for the first time, it created a domino effect that, led me to the point that I'm at today. The moment that I finally got over that fear of talking to people that were higher and better than me, started to see different results. So when I changed that relationship to fear, that's when breakthroughs started to occur. And that's when my growth as a human being started to really happen. I always like to say that, network marketing is really, at its core, it's a personal development program with a compensation plan attached to it. And the moment you start to become better, and the moment you start to have more to offer the world in the way of skills and knowledge and expertise, that's when things usually turn. So I started to become better, and my business started to turn as a result of that.
Dang, that's like a mic drop moment. Oh my goodness. Wow. I love that fear became your compass.
Yeah.
And you brought up another very common thing that happens, whether you're an MLM or not. The things that we're just talking about right now can apply to so many areas of your life. It's that you start to look to the person to the left and the person to the right, and you're like, why are they successful? Why am I not successful? Why do they have happiness and I don't have happiness?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's in that moment where you have a choice to like stay in that misery and say, oh, woe is me, and compare, or you have a choice to make a change.
Yep.
And as you said, you made a change. You went and did the things that scared you. And was there a moment at any point when you did those things that scared you that you were like, why did I create this scenario in my brain that it was going to be so bad, but it actually wasn't that bad?
Yeah. I mean, all the time, I would approach somebody that was on my chicken list that I was afraid to talk to, and they would actually join the business. And it was like, this total like mind shift of, I'm creating these stories that really are just that, and stuff like that. And then the first time that I actually was, I spoke in front of a room. I was literally forced to do it. It was a Saturday training down at the Philadelphia airport. There couldn't have been more than 30 people in the room. And all they asked me to do was just go up and welcome everybody out. And it was a terrible experience. It was horrifying. It was not good. But I remember finishing doing that and leaving the meeting and thinking, I want to do that again. Because I wanted to do a better job, right? I wanted to kind of make up for it. And what happened was, once I got on the other side of that fear and I started to see that it was possible for me to do these things that I didn't think it was possible to do, and it started to raise my awareness around wanting to become better, what I realized was I was actually pretty good at it. I was actually pretty good when I got in front of a room. I never would have found that out unless I would have been able to get over that fear, even though somebody forced me to do it. And so it was, in some cases, it was a gradual process, but in others, it was a big aha moment. But the thing that I always talk about to people is my story is such a powerful example of how sometimes the things that we fear in life are the very things that we were put on this earth to do. And I think that when we can get, the reason why I love network marketing is because if we can get in an environment, right, that is a safe environment that encourages people to take risks and to grow, that's when amazing things happen. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people are not ever in an environment like that, so they never truly realize the potential that they have inside of them. And I'm just incredibly thankful that there was somebody that cared enough on that Saturday morning to shove me in front of the room, because I wouldn't be making, I would not be impacting the world the way that I am today if it weren't for that happening.
Yeah. And let's talk about that. You bring up such a good point. So I love how you said MLMs are a personal development program. They really are. They really are, in terms of communication skills. Like you said, doing things that make you afraid, speaking to people, just genuinely caring about people and wanting them to feel as good as you feel or have the success that you have. And you have had, so you're the way things look now are a little bit different, because you've now moved a little bit away from moved a lot away from the MLM. That was your start. But now you're really doing this business coaching and this, mastery coaching of how to develop your own brand, how to market yourself online, how to leave that legacy and make that real difference for that exact reason why you were put on this earth.
Yeah.
Right? So what does that look like now for you? So what are you teaching people, or what did getting in that MLM show you that way of what you were meant really here to do?
Yeah, my path, the fork in the road for me was a couple of years ago when, I went through something that very few people will ever go through in any profession. I had 2 separate companies close on me in 7 months. And, it was a very difficult time in my life. I was at the lowest point of my professional life, possibly my life as a whole. And I had a decision to make. And I think that it's interesting. There's a quote. There's a quote of that's one of my favorite quotes, and it says, basically, I paraphrase it, that sometimes you have to let go of the life that you've planned for yourself to step into the life that's waiting for you. And I think that I realized that maybe the things that I were going through, there was a reason for that, and there was a bit greater purpose out there for me. And so I started down this path of really learning what it means to build a personal brand and an online business. And my goal was that I wanted to be able to take the things that I had learned over my 10-year career as a rep in this profession, which I still love, even though I went through those adverse, trying times, didn't change my viewpoint on the profession as a whole. But I saw it as an opportunity for me to start to impact and serve a much larger audience, much greater than just one team or one company. And one of my favorite mentors of all time is Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn says that service to many leads to greatness. So I said, well, if I could find a way to have my story be an inspiration to a larger audience of people, and if I could, because I really am on a mission to elevate the profession of network marketing, and I really do think I have a unique spin on how we do that. If I could impact in even the slightest way, elevating the profession, to me, that would be, my highest calling. And so I started creating content online. I started doing live videos. It took off after about 5 or 6 months of just head down, chipping away, and actually turned into a thing. And it's a very profitable business for me today. And I love what I do. I get to meet great people like you, and it's just crazy that now I've created a living out of talking, when it was one of the things that I was most afraid to do.
I was just going to say that. I'm like, from the guy who was afraid to public speak, now you're constantly in front of people and you're serving and helping so many. And maybe you never even know the ripple effect of that, right? It's like, it's not just that person, you're helping a mom, you're helping her family, you're helping a dad, you're helping their family, you're helping a leader, you're helping a team, which is helping a lot of families and lives, right? That's
totally.
a beautiful ripple effect.
Yep.
And I know leadership is that piece that you're really big. We were chatting earlier about you really want to grow leaders.
Yeah.
So in your mind, what makes the best leader? What kind of traits, or what do you have to be or do to be an exceptional leader?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it starts with, having a servant's mentality. I think a lot of people, they look at leadership as a right. It's not, it's a responsibility. And I think the bigger your team is, the more responsibility you have to serve other people. So I think if you lead from a place of giving and caring and really wanting to help others, that's always a really good place to start. I think that leadership in the network marketing profession is also defined by example. I think that people will not do what you say, they do what you do. And so many leaders fall into what I call management mode, which is they build a team, they achieve a level of success, and then they get away from doing the things that got them there, and they do the easy thing, which is just managing their team. And that, once again, is letting fear drive your business, because that's the easy thing to do, right? The hard thing to do is continue to go out there and get new recruits and get new customers. But they fall into management mode, and then their team starts to stall because they see you not working, and then they don't work, right? So I think it's having a service and a give first mentality. It is certainly leading by example. I think that it's constant and never ending growth. It's using the analogy of a tree. A tree grows to the day it dies. And I think that a lot of leaders, their growth stalls in their business. And as a result, they become a lid on their team. John Maxwell calls it the law of the lid. And, if you're a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of your leadership level and ability, you're only going to build a team of 6s and below. And I think that also stems from fear as well. Because what happens a lot of times with leaders in this profession is they get to a point where their current level of skills and expertise are good enough for them to maintain the level of results that they have. And they can just show up and just do what they do almost on autopilot and continue to, maintain those results. But what I've learned is anytime you want to go to the next level in your life, it's going to require a new version of you. It's going to require you to do something you're not used to doing. Now, here's the struggle for leaders. When we step out past what's comfortable for us and we venture into that area of the unknown and uncertainty, we risk not looking good. Mm-hmm. And a lot of leaders, especially in network marketing, because let's be honest, there's a lot of ego that goes into this business. And people, they get that pin on their chest and they walk around the convention and everybody just bows down and shines their shoes and wants to take pictures. We're used to looking good. We like feeling good, right? Yep. But now when we have to do something that maybe we've never done, for example, I teach live video to a lot of network marketing leaders. And I've never seen something that people are more deathly afraid of because, you know, here I have this leader in network marketing that's done extremely well that is afraid to do a video. And all they do is talk and lead to their team, but they're not used to doing it and they're afraid of it because they know that they might not look as good as they're used to. So it's like, it's that once again, it's always being willing to strive for that next level. You know, I heard it said once, it's like good is the enemy of great. And you always got to be pushing. So I think it's those are just some of the things that come to mind first. But if you can get centered in those areas, and then I think you're off to a pretty good start when it comes to being a great leader.
Yeah, and I love that piece, even tying it back to the type of team that you're building. If your team sees you getting uncomfortable, mm-hmm. maybe not being awesome at whatever it is that you're doing, that's going to hopefully spark them to go, well, that didn't work out so well for her, but she survived, or him. He did it.
Yep.
And you make that a teaching point. Hey, I just did my first live video, almost like your talk at the airport. Didn't go the way I maybe planned, but I'm going to get better at this.
Totally.
What are you going to get better at? Right?
Totally.
You set that bar of, we're constantly pushing that fear. We're constantly pushing that, how to make it. You go from a 6 to a 7. You go from a 7 to an 8. You get to a 10. What's the next level?
Yep.
Right?
Totally.
Like that domino effect of, you know, I think that really, like you said, people will watch what you're doing.
Yep.
They'll only push themselves the way you push yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Totally. It's that comfortable. It's very true. That comfortable stage that you get in where like it's good enough to get by, or you're making enough money to live.
Yep.
But it's never about the money.
Right.
Like you say, we celebrate the money. We celebrate all the things that we achieve and the ranks that we get and the trips that we get and the cars and the houses that we buy. People love that sort of stuff. But most people, I would think, that succeed in this business lead with the heart. It's never about any of that, right? It's about getting better and learning and helping other people. Yeah. Okay, I have one question, a little bit business building here.
Yeah.
Thinking about your brand and prospecting and helping people. Money is the number one reason why many people say they can't afford it. You know, they can't work with you. How do you get over that when you know that you truly want to help this person? Like, I'm in the Beachbody business, and it's like I see people struggling with their weight. And I'm like, I know that if you worked with me and I got you some products and programs, it would help you way past even just losing weight, right? Build confidence, be a better mom. Like, I see that end result for people, but people get so hung up in that. I just simply don't have the money.
Yeah.
Is it about the money, or do you find, what's the psychology there? Do people legitimately not have the money, right? How do you get around that whole money objection? Because I know that's the number one thing. Even if it's not an MLM, even in business, you're like, my product will help you.
Yep.
But people maybe won't buy it because they say, I can't spend the money on that.
Yeah.
How do you get around that?
Yeah, I mean, look, when you talk about objections, the first objection you get is never the real objection, right? And, you know, I don't want to do a training on objection handling, because I think that the more important message that I could deliver is really understanding that if somebody really wants to do something, they'll get the money, right? So that's never the reason. But what I'd like to kind of address, because this is a big problem, I think, for network marketers, is what makes someone want to buy. Why does somebody buy, right? And I think where we go wrong as network marketers sometimes is we have such a strong belief in what we're offering people, whether it's the products or whether it's the opportunity we have, that we oftentimes forget that people don't buy because they need what you have. They buy when they decide that they want what you have. They make the decision. They sell themselves, not you. And so the question is, how do we make people want what we have? Well, it's a really powerful marketing principle that if you can accomplish this, it changes everything for you. You have to learn how to enter the conversation that's already happening in your prospect's mind. You have to understand. So here's an easier way to think of it. Think of, for anybody that's listening, I want them to think about when they first joined their network marketing business, right? So that first day when they joined, you didn't know even a fraction of the information that you know now. You didn't know what was in the products, most likely. You didn't know all the benefits of everything you have. You didn't know the compensation plan. You didn't know any of that, but you joined, right? The problem we have is now that we accumulate all of this knowledge and information, we think we have to impart all of that information to a prospect to get them to decide. And that's the worst thing you can do. You know, I call it verbally vomiting on people. And what happens is when you do that, what you're doing is you're making yourself the expert. And that will chase people away from your business. So when somebody tells me, I don't have the money, what I know they're most likely saying in their mind is one of two things. Either they don't see themselves doing what I just did, and that's the case for most people that are in network marketing, meaning you just gave them this long sales presentation where you're answering questions and giving information. And we do it out of enthusiasm because we're like, but you need it, right? We need to give you everything we know. And what happens is people are like, yeah, not interested, because most people are not sales types. They don't see themselves doing that. They don't want to. They don't have the time to do that, right? So they either are saying that I don't see myself doing that, or I don't believe that I can do it. So it's really a matter of their own self-worth but here's what it both boils down to. You've made the process more difficult than it needs to be. So one of the things that I had to learn, and this was very difficult for me, I have a background in medical sales, and I was a trained professional salesperson who presents and answers questions, and I've got to look, I have to look like I know what I'm talking about to be credible. So I brought that same approach into network marketing, and it's why I struggled. See, I learned this: the less that you say, the more money you will make. So what I had to learn how to start doing was shutting my mouth and letting other things and other people deliver the information for me, right? You hear a lot about this concept of third-party tools. So instead of me explaining it, I would just play a video, or I would give them a sample and let them experience the sample before I tried to fire hose my sales presentation on them, right? So I was giving them information, right, and demonstrating to them it's a simple business. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to have or know all of the information. All you need to do is just give people enough to whet their appetite to have them want. So what are we talking about? Now they're wanting more. Right? So now yes, I'm interested. I want to know more. It's not us trying to push them. We're pulling them, right? We're creating some curiosity. We're dripping it out in pieces and getting them moving forward. So it's learning how to do that. And, a lot of times I'll talk to people, and I'm an expert on this because I was guilty of this as anyone. I'll talk to people that will say, I've got tons of customers, but I don't have a lot of recruits. And I know right away, as soon as they say that, they're just talking too much. That's all it is. Like there's no other reason ever that you struggle getting recruits, but you can get customers, then you are making it too difficult. You're talking too much. You're selling. You have to learn how to start saying less. I'm talking to myself too, by the way.
You're talking about me, Bob.
But that's easier said than done. You know, it's hard not giving the information. It's hard, looking like, because a lot of times it goes back to ego. Like, we don't want to come across like we're not credible, right? Well, I just want to be, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work because it doesn't matter if what you do works. It only matters if it duplicates and if other people can do it. That's why we have to have simple systems. So getting back to your original point, I would argue that when somebody says, I don't have the money, all that really is just a veiled excuse for them saying, look, I either don't see myself doing what you're doing, or I just don't believe I can do it because you've made it more difficult than it needs to be.
That's a huge mindset shift. Wow. Like, I've never had anyone explain it in that way, which makes complete sense.
Yeah.
And you're right. We never want to seem desperate or pushy or needy, or like we don't know what we're talking about. We're these frauds and people are going to figure us out. But yet, like you said, when you have verbal diarrhea and you just vomit information on people, you become all those things that you never wanted to be.
Yep.
Right? And I can remember watching one of your training videos. It was a live video that you shared, and it was about something along the lines of saying to someone, just get back to me and I'll cross you off my list, if you're not interested. And you were saying how when you take it away from someone, then that piques their interest. And I thought, gosh, that's so brilliant because, we aren't needy. We want to help people, but you never want to come across like you need them or else your whole world crumbles. Right. Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people do. And it's just because they don't know any better. We genuinely want this person to join our business, but because we push too hard, we give too much information. It's almost like, there's this subtle dance. And if you're leaning in too hard, and it literally is, if you can imagine just leaning into someone, if they feel like you're invading their personal space, they're going to lean away from you. Right. And that's what happens when you're pushing too hard, you're explaining, you're selling. But when you learn how to make a subtle shift to lean away a little bit, really give them the impression that I don't need you. It changes the dynamic of the whole interaction. If I give you a short little video that whets your appetite, or I give you a sample of the product and I let you try it and you determine on your own merits that you want to learn more, now I'm in a position of power. You're coming to me saying, I want more information. I'm like, oh, okay, great. How can I help you? Right? So there's a very subtle but powerful shift that happens, being able, instead of stringing somebody along and chasing them, being able to say something like, hey, Lisa, listen, I'm getting, maybe it's not the right timing for you. We've been playing this dance for the last 2 months trying to follow up, and you're deciding. It's like, how many times have you had a prospect just keep dragging you through the mud and like, you don't ever want to give up? Like, I'll tell you, the worst thing you can do is that, I'll just flat out say, Lisa, look, I don't think this is for you. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, listen, I don't want to be like rude, but if you don't know by now, like, it's not for you. There's literally nothing else I could give you. If you can't make a decision yet, then let's just move on.
Right.
But most people don't do that. So they lose that dance with the prospect. We have to learn how to have more posture, and you have to learn how to be able to pull it away sometimes to get people to want it.
That's huge. And when you go back to that mindset of when you're on your path to truly serve and change the world, you shouldn't be getting hung up and stringing along that one person, because you may be missing 10 other people that truly do want it and it's their time and they're ready.
Totally. And if you're leading by example and you're talking and prospecting to new people, then you don't have time to worry about any one person. It's always just a function of activity. I mean, activity is the solution to any problem you'll ever have in network marketing.
I love it. So I have one final question for you.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like I could pick your brain for hours. This is so good. Oh my goodness. What is the biggest thing you're looking forward to by the end of the year to have completed, or you're just geeking out, excited about? I mean, some people don't realize, like, we're halfway through the year here, people. Like, I always say, like, July is the new January for me. I look at, like, am I happy where I'm at halfway through the year?
Yep.
It could be anything. It could be personal. It could be business. What is, like, New Year's Eve when you're, like, toasting, you're like, damn, this was good?
Yeah.
What is that thing that you're, like, geeking out about and so excited about by the end of the year?
So I'll give you two answers. One, because I feel like if I didn't say this, I'd feel bad. I mean, we're having our first child in September. So that, obviously excited to have a little guy around that I can start mentoring and be a dad. So that's going to be awesome. But I think aside from that, I'm excited about this company that I've created, Your Virtual Upline. I'm going to be launching a membership community, and it's going to be specifically geared towards leadership development. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be helping that person that is stuck at 3 figures a month get to 4 figures, or help them go from 4 to 5, or 5 to 6, or 6 to 7. To be able to teach people how to level up to whatever that next level is in their business. So we're going to be focused on leadership development. One of the kind of core overriding principles is we're going to help create better human beings, because I truly believe that, acquiring skills is important. And a lot of people in this profession, a lot of the prominent trainers, like Eric Worre, they talk about go pro, and you got to do that. But I think I've got a little bit of a different spin. Is I believe the way that we elevate this profession faster than anything else is we each individually become an unstoppable force for good. We take the gifts that we have to offer and give to the world, and we start to learn how to get over our fear and start giving it. And the more you do that, the more you give the gifts that you have, the more you can recognize your own greatness and grow as a human being, the more lives that you impact. And it's like you said, I love using that analogy of the ripple effect. You touch one person's life, you impact one person's life, you never know what's going to happen. So I want to create a community of people that are in this profession that have a heart-centered approach to their business, that not only want to grow an amazing business, but they want to impact the world in a positive way. And I want to create a community of people where they can call home, that we can empower people to do that. So.
Ooh, I got goosebumps.
I don't know that I think I need to get the recording of this, because I just did my sales pitch for it.
There you go. You can have it for sure. I know. It's like, if you don't get goosebumps from that, you're dead.
I was like, man, that actually sounds pretty good. I might sign up for that myself.
You're like, I rehearsed this. No, really, I didn't. That's amazing. But again, the fact that you can deliver that, I think what I love so much about you, Bob, is that you're the real deal. Like, you care about people. Your morals and your integrity and your values are spot on. It's not about the superficial things in this life. It's about truly leaving that legacy, making a real difference, having that ripple effect. And it's like, the world needs more Bob.
I think so, but I might be biased.
And you're going to make an amazing dad. This little one that you have on the way. Oh my gosh, June, September, you were telling me. That's so great. I really didn't set you up for that. I was wondering how you were going to answer that. But
yeah.
Congratulations to you on so many incredible things coming your way. If you want to reach out to Bob, you want to know about more of his products and his coaching and his programs and how he can help you make a difference in this world, be an incredible leader, or just be the best version of yourself, you can find him either on Facebook or his website at Bob Heilig, HEILIG.com. Check him out. And Bob, thank you so much. This will be a podcast I will go back and listen to myself over and over again. You're amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much for being on with me.
Thanks for having me.
All right.